In a world of remakes and remasters,
Are we playing for
what was once sacred and cool has now soured and become lame.
Red?
Gone are the days of Pods and Cowabunga. Now is the reign of slurp juice and dabs. Kids these days don't even know how bad they've got it. Now it's up to the best generation to rise to the occasion and make a show that dares to go where a lot of other nerdy shows have already gone quite a bit. That's right. They're going to talk about it a lot. Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome back to Best Generation, episode 3. We're talking about Boba Fett, episode 3, maybe Arcane, maybe some more things. Depends on what everybody's seen. This is a show where old, washed up nerds talk about nerdy things and get more passionate about them than they probably should. We obviously welcome any viewer, doesn't matter what generation you belong to, as long as you acknowledge that ours is the best.
I wouldn't describe myself as washed up.
You don't take baths?
I got a pretty good. Oh, is that what I thought washed up meant? You know, like
I know.
Dead bloated corpse on the shore, not
Oh,
well taken. I got a really good beard trim this weekend, and I'm proud of it.
no, I didn't even know that was a negative thing that people ever said. I just took a bath before the show, so I washed behind my ears, Mom. My mom watches the show sometimes, and she tells me not to use dirty jokes. So, welcome back, Best Gen. How's everybody doing?
Pretty good.
Did everyone watch the reading materials?
The reading? Wait, watch the reading materials?
Yeah, watch the watching materials. Did you? It's book club, but you don't have to. You can just sit on your couch and be lazy.
I watched Boba Fett, but I did not get to any of the other suggestions.
I watched your suggestion, Tanner. I watched I think I got 5 episodes deep into Smash.
Yeah.
I put it on my watch list. That's as far as it got.
What a journey that was.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Like it. I hope I didn't give too much away, but
No. I'm glad that you gave it context because I mean it's definitely not something I ever would have clicked on. I don't watch cartoons anymore. But wow, it was amazing. And Netflix has not advertised the show at all.
No, like it just came up.
It's amazing
in my feed, and I was like, "Oh, Kyle Mooney," because
yeah.
I don't think he's on SNL anymore. And
I think he's still there. He just doesn't do a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
he's probably He probably writes more than he performs.
They underutilized him.
Well, he had an internet show before.
Yeah,
before SNL with he had a YouTube channel with
Beck Bennett.
And they're hilarious.
I love the two of them, but they just don't fit the mainstream SNL.
Not at all.
So the rare times when
because they're actually funny.
Yeah, when they did get something on, it would be hilarious, and it was usually something that was cut for time.
Yeah.
Anyways, and so I saw Kyle Mooney. I was like, I gotta check this out. And it was
they have like a SoCal surfer dude character who like makes home videos that's just super funny.
Yes, I love that.
yeah, I started watching it. I think I got 5 episodes in. It's very entertaining. I am floored by the production quality, by the animation quality. How
Yeah.
well, how much it looks like bad animation, but like done really well, like purposefully in that vein. And I'm emotionally invested
Yeah.
in the stories of these just throwaway jokes. So definitely worth watching.
It's good. Check it out.
Yeah. Randy needs to find happiness. David, most of all, though, the main character
Yes, he
from
is.
their Care Bear show ripoff, their Care Bear ripoff
Yeah.
cartoon. The main character of that, I would die for. Like, it's who's the
great.
voice?
Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd. Paul
Some
Rudd.
incredible guest voice actors are in it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd is one of them. I think Emma Stone did a voice
Yes.
in one of the later episodes. Beck Bennett shows up. So
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting much, and I was completely blown away. So,
What's
yeah,
it called again?
it's Smash or Saturday Morning All Star Hits. It's
Smash. Yeah.
ridiculous, and it's not like a huge time commitment. It's like 20-minute episodes. Like,
yeah,
it's a fun time.
I got through the whole series in 2 days, like watching like 2-hour sessions. It took like 4 hours total.
Got it.
Super cool.
It's good.
So should we get into Boba Fett episode 3?
Yes.
Let's do that.
Yeah, what did I mean, if you've seen the title of the show, you know my opinion. But what do you guys think?
Jumps the shark. But Arcane is
I don't
great.
remember a
Yeah.
shark in the episode.
Well, see, that is
Was
an
there
idiom.
a shark?
Jumping the shark is an idiom.
Oh.
Is a phrase that's used to say that a show just loses its footing and drops in quality, and it comes from was it Happy Days?
Yes, it
It
was.
comes from a show called Happy Days, where there's an episode where they literally jump over a shark, and it was all downhill from there.
The Fonz is
Oh,
water
man.
skiing,
Yeah.
and he jumps over a shark. Yes, I was being facetious.
So I was being facetious in my explanation of your facetious question. Two can play at this game.
Yeah. In regards to the episode, it might be my second favorite
Really?
of the series. Yeah. For one reason. Do you want me to say it now, or do we want to wait? And I can say
No,
what,
go
like
ahead.
when we get.
Enlighten us.
I was watching, and I was like, "Oh, they're like undoing everything that the last episode said." Wait, is that Danny Trejo?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Danny Trejo! Yeah.
Machete.
My note is, what the Danny Trejo?
And
I
after
was
that-
honestly hoping that the first scene he's in was the only time you see him, because you literally get a shot of him for like 2 seconds, and I was like, wait, and I paused it. I was like, and I went back, that's Danny Trejo. And then they leave, and I thought he left with them, and that was all you would see. That would have been so great.
He got a talking part.
But
Yeah,
he gets a speaking part later on, and oh boy, I've got a lot to say about that scene.
He's
But,
the
let's not get
freaking
into that one
Rancor
yet.
whisperer.
But
Yeah,
just
he was fun.
because he showed up, and like you weren't sure right initially if
He's
it
just
was
standing
him.
there.
He's like on the whole other barge with the Rancor, and he's
Yeah.
like, and I
Clearly filmed separately from the rest of the crew.
I'm just like, is that Danny Trejo? And like that made it. I was like, this is my new favorite episode. This show is great, just because of a ridiculous Danny Trejo cameo.
Well,
You mentioned though that it undoes everything that the last episode did.
Yeah.
And the last episode was the only thing that was good about the show.
Yeah.
And they throw all of it away.
Yeah.
David.
I felt like the first episode had a lot of issues, but it had a couple redeeming qualities, right? The second episode was a lot better. It still had a few little nitpicks,
Yes.
but it was good. This one, aside from freaking
Literally
Machete,
undoes everything.
Rancor Whisperer, I don't think there's a single thing I like about this episode. It is all absolute garbage. It just boggles my mind how terribly bad and cliche this whole episode was. It was so bad.
I'm just happy that that we were pretty good at predicting what was going to happen.
Except that it was just done way worse than
It
what I
was.
predicted.
It was.
Like, they basically did what I said could make it good, except they did it crappy.
Yeah, they're just like, and they're all dead. Like they didn't even
It happened off screen,
Yeah.
so it wasn't even really his fault. But
Yeah.
like they're trying to say, oh, because he wasn't there, it was his fault. But it would have been so much more effective, and it would have explained his change of demeanor of wanting to rule with respect instead of with an iron fist if he'd pushed them into fighting and they all got murdered and it was his fault.
Yeah, seriously. Doesn't
But-
that just make
but
you mad and you
because-
want
yeah.
revenge?
Because they're not doing it that way, it doesn't make sense. If you notice the two parallel stories, he's making the same choices. He hasn't learned from his mistakes. He's doing the same thing twice. He's taking advantage of people who are disenfranchised
Yeah.
and bringing them onto his team and just using them as pawns.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
However, we
Which
didn't.
doesn't make any sense because he wants to rule with respect.
Yeah, we didn't see the hot black ninja Tusken Raider
She was dead.
in that pile too.
It showed her.
It
was
did.
close up
Yeah,
of her.
it did.
No, it showed a close up of the chief. It didn't show a close up of her, did it?
I saw her figure, yes.
Huh. Okay. Well, interesting.
Maybe it wasn't, but I'm pretty sure it was her.
Yeah,
I'll-
I'm pretty sure. I'll have to go back through and look at it again. I thought it was just the chief. I didn't see her in the wreckage, but we know that he's still with. I mean, there's a shot in here that is very important for time placement for the rest of the series, but we know that he's still with Tusken Raiders when Mando
Just a
shows
different.
up.
So he just goes to a different
So-
group and uses them up too.
Yeah,
Well,
so
actually-
like what? I don't understand
There's so much I don't
where they're
understand
going
in
to
this
go from
episode.
here.
Well, real quick, actually, what if that flashback was actually like during the Mando, right? So you see,
It's not. That's what I'm
how
saying.
can you tell?
Because there's one important scene when you see him riding the bantha into town. They show you putting the stormtrooper spikes, stormtrooper helmet on those spikes, right?
Yeah,
Those stormtrooper helmets were already set up in Mando when he goes to Tatooine in season 1,
Yes.
and you see in that scene too the mechanic.
He doesn't.
Yes,
meet,
I saw
he
that.
doesn't meet
Droids.
Mando until season 2.
He doesn't meet her till season 2.
He
So
sees him
this
from a
is-
distance. Yeah.
So now in his Tusken Raider timeline, we're caught up to right before Mando season 1. But Mando season 1 and 2 have to happen before they meet up. So he apparently finds another group of
And kills them
Tusken
too.
Raiders
And kills them too.
kills them too or something. I don't know. Maybe they're not all dead, but
maybe.
yeah,
Okay.
I don't know where they're going from.
I
here.
have so many notes. And I forgot a note from episode 2. It's literally my first note is prisoners walk in front, not behind. When Fennec is bringing the assassin back to town, she's walking in front of him and with chains. I was like, did she
Yeah.
not see the previous episode where Mando uses his chains to strangle a thing in front of him, like a big beast? And like, it's so cliche. Like, you make your prisoners walk in front of you, but clearly she wasn't afraid of this assassin because he didn't do jack squat.
Can I?
Yeah.
I mean, just based on what we've seen, they're probably not that smart. I think she's behind it. I think she's secretly trying to make a play. and like, because I can't remember.
That would be a cool move.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like, and I think
Who's the one that's
for
calling the
me,
shots?
that would she's like actually controlling it, but like using Boba Fett's infamy to like
To make him
garner
make bad choices.
yeah, and
You
then
know,
she'll swoop in after
mhm.
they've kind of established
Give
a
him wrong
reputation.
intel, maybe.
But I don't know. But for me, I think that would be like the only way they could redeem the character at this point is that he was being manipulated. Because
Mhm.
I when we talked season 2, I was like, no, I mean, like maybe they're gonna do something interesting with him. But they totally, I'm kind of with you guys now.
Well,
That
they spent the
they-
first 2 episodes setting up the Huts, and
Yeah.
setting up politics, and they throw it all out, and
It's
then
gone.
they start a new plot. This episode,
Yeah, they're just like, oh yeah, we're leaving. We're out of here. Like we don't want to
like,
fight. crap.
literally, this episode opens with an exposition dump about the city.
Yeah.
Here's the city layout, and this party is subject to this, and there's 3 families, and this and this and this. All of that is irrelevant by the end of this episode, because we don't care about anything that's going on. There's a new threat that just barely showed up.
That's true.
Why did they spend so much time setting all these pieces up?
I think it might be the core problem with this series and many
It
series.
doesn't know what it wants to be.
No, what it wants to be is fan service. Boba Fett
Yeah,
is a cool.
They brought in the
character.
Huts so they could
Yeah.
be a cameo,
Oh,
and then
the
they
Hutts.
shoved them out. They're not actually part of the story because
Yeah.
it would
We got the
can't commit to
Wookiee,
doing anything.
the Wookiee bounty hunter, which is a cool comic book cameo, and then he's
so
gone.
wasted.
He's gone. The
Yeah.
way he runs off, he's like
Yeah.
he's like he's like a duck waddling off screen. I was like, what is this character?
So like, and I could get into how a lot of franchises suffer from the desire to either make interconnectedness or do fan service, because I feel like a lot of popular franchises
Uh-huh.
have become more about the
Member
clickbait
berries?
articles and this person showed up instead
Right.
of making something cool happen.
Well,
with the
I can't
story.
remember who was it that first made this observation, but it's frequently been echoed now that people like with Marvel movies in particular, people are more excited for the cameo at the end of the movie than they are about seeing the movie.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the movie
The end
itself
credit
isn't
scene.
great.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, but this is cool. We might do something cool later if we actually hire good writers.
That might have
yeah,
been.
that's a
I don't
shame.
know if I said it on the stream, but I've had that conversation with you
Yeah.
where I mean, like, Shang-Chi, when I saw that, after it came out, the most news I saw about it was,
The after credits.
oh, here's the after credit
You
scene.
saw nothing about the actual movie
Yeah.
itself.
And so I was like, well, is it worth seeing that? But then I actually ended up seeing it, and it was okay. There were
The
There
fight
were
scene
some
at
moments-
the fight scene at the beginning of Shang-Chi in the bus is phenomenal. If the whole movie was just that, just him doing martial arts, it would have been awesome.
yeah. And then I mean, the post credit scene wasn't even that great. It was. Anyways,
Yeah.
kind
I
of getting
think-
sidetracked, but I think Boba Fett's
we're getting
suffering
a little
from
off
that.
base, but
Yeah, I think
Well-
you're right. I think even the Mandalorian too was very heavy-handed on the cameos and like, oh look what we have here. We have a little Loth cat in the corner. Remember that from this animated show? Remember this from the thing?
Yeah.
And even this, there was a moment I laughed at the beginning of the episode when that little spider monk thing walks by the
Yeah,
Jabba's palace. There
They
was
do that. It's the same shot. It's the exact same shot from, or like it's the frog who eats the thing and burps.
yeah. I said there's always a bigger rodent. That was my thing because there was
Well, it's
rodents
literally
after each other.
copying the shot from the
Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi, which I
Yeah.
watched with Elliot after this because it was so much better. Here's the thing: fan service doesn't have to be bad. We just watched Spider-Man, and it was incredible. And they brought in like fan servicey stuff, but they used it to tell the story, not just say, "Hey, here's the Hutts." Now you saw them; they're not part of the actual story, though. They literally have no bearing on what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's not just an Easter egg; it's actually part of the plot. And I guess the Hutts are a little bit more than just an Easter egg, But there's many more other things. Well,
what did they do? They gave him a new pet.
They tried to assassinate him too, and then
supposedly
were like,
Did they try and assassinate him? Because he wakes him up.
That's why I think it's Fennec.
The Wookiee shit. Wait, hey, wake up! I'm about to kill you. Instead of just killing him in his sleep.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, we got another flashback by him going to sleep. It's like
you asked last time, are we going to have to see him in the back to tank every time flashback, just so that we know, like, this show thinks that its audience is stupid. It genuinely thinks we're stupid and that we can't catch on to things like that. Because every time there's a flashback, it goes to the back to tank, and every time it goes out of a flashback, it goes back to the back to tank. So like, we're not dumb. We can tell if he's in his suit, it's now. If he's not, it's then.
Yep.
It's not hard.
Yeah. I just hope that in the next episode I don't see the back to tank again. I'm like, come on, guys, seriously.
They've destroyed everything from the flashback sequence.
There's no need to go back. 5 years they got to cover.
There's no need to go back. Everyone's dead.
Not everyone, because we see more Tuskens in Mando.
Okay, I haven't even gotten to any of my bullet points.
Let's do it.
My first bullet point was Expo Dump. Okay, my second one is his comment. He says, "What's really going on in this murky fen?" And I was like, does he not like it here? Why is he here then? Why does he want to rule this place if he hates it? And then we get the guy, the worst scene in the whole movie, the watermonger.
Mm-hmm.
Watermonger. This guy's a good actor. I like him as an actor. If you've seen Barry, super good. But he, just like the mayor's assistant, did not feel like he belonged in Star Wars. He felt completely out of place to me. And who starts a conversation that way?
Which way?
What's your boon? Well, with apologies, sir, no one respects you. And I was like, oh man, yeah, the showrunners sure don't.
I know. Like, his response is, first time I'm hearing of it. I'm like,
and my comment is, oh man, that was like Boba's one thing too. He wanted to rule with respect.
No, now that's out the window. Okay, see, that's his excuse. Now that nobody respects him, he can drop the ruling with respect.
Here's the thing: the guy has a valid point, right? But that's not how you say it to a crime lord, okay? Yeah. Right? If I'm going to go see Al Capone, okay, I would say, look, Al, you're a powerful guy who could probably cut my head off, okay? Here's the thing. You come to him with a solution, right? Which he does, but he doesn't start with that. He starts off by offending Boba Fett. You say, hey, look, there's a problem. All this stuff has been happening. And frankly, Al, the reason is that the bad stuff is happening, Mr. Capone, is because you haven't gained the people's respect yet. Here's how you could fix that. Not, frankly, no one respects you. Me. Like, I don't know. It was so dumb.
Well, it was definitely a strange dialogue. Again, like, he's not selling me that he's Boba Fett either. It's like, if someone insults you like that too, what are you just gonna let him do it?
Yeah. I don't know.
They gotta. I think I can maybe see the logic that in their minds, something in the flashbacks made him change. and it's
Yeah.
something with the Pike aliens, which is just on the nose that they're fish people and they're called the Pikes, but
Well, you've got a squid person called the Mon Calamari. So.
I mean, hey, that is true. But like, there's not enough of a distinction.
You got a soy boy called Bubba T. Oh, Fett. Sorry.
There's not enough of a distinction between flashback Boba and present Boba. There is I can tell a slight, like tiny that big of a difference between how he's acting in the past and in the present, but not enough to.
But yeah, that's the thing though. Like, it's showing that he hasn't really changed. I don't understand what they're trying to convey anymore. I thought I could see a glimpse, like, oh, this might be the way they're going. I said it last episode. I was like, something bad's going to happen in the past, and so he's changed. But he hasn't changed what he's doing. His approach, like with in the next scene with the biker gang, is literally the same approach that he has with the Tusken Raiders.
Let's talk about the bikers.
Let's talk about the biker gang, shall we?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh!
Yep.
Man, did you guys enjoy that high speed chase?
First off, we're not there yet, okay?
Okay.
First off,
My bad.
all you guys going to pay for that water, right? The conversation that they have is like ripped from like today's like modern social commentary. Like, that's not what I go to see Star Wars for, right? They're like, look around you, there is no work. I was like, has the show shown us that? Has the show shown us like beggars on the street? Look around you. At what? You haven't shown it. It would have worked if you'd shown us people not having work. But the fact that she's like, there is no work. Look around you, you dumb idiot. I was like, at what evidence? Give me the evidence before you give me a line like that.
Especially considering
that's not how world building works.
Yeah,
You can't.
that line is even less fitting, seeing that they have a whole bunch of shiny chrome Power
They have
Ranger
expensive
bikes and
bikes.
cybernetics
They have
built into their
shiny
bodies.
chrome bikes.
Yeah.
They have. How do they not have work?
I know. And if they don't have work,
if
how the hell did
showed,
they pay
a
for it?
speeder and like pasted together from 5 different speeders and they're clearly just, you know, like attacking people and the ship will crash and then they scrap it, basically like what the sand troopers are, like the sand people are doing, like they're picking up scraps and scraping by. No, they have shiny Harleys. How
I think technically they're Vespas.
they're lowriders.
They're like low riding Vespas.
Yeah. That was so out of place, especially on Tatooine.
Yeah,
You know, that might have a place in Star Wars in like Coruscant or you know, some other well populated city, but not Tatooine.
that was my thought exactly. The color scheme was just not
so
right.
bad.
I
for the
saw
planet.
like in the first scene, you don't even I saw a glimpse in the back. I was like, oh no. And then you see them in broad daylight at the end of the episode. I was like, what? Like not even mention like Tatooine. Like, this doesn't feel Star Wars. Like the closest thing you could compare it to would be like Padme's shiny chrome ship, like in the prequels.
Yeah.
But she was a princess.
Yep.
She was a queen.
He had the speeders in Attack of the Clones. That were
nice.
they were very city-esque, kind of, you know, like fancier, well painted kinds of things that I think.
That was from the Galactic Republic, not the back streets of Tatooine.
I don't know.
You know,
man.
like I said, that would have been perfectly fine in the streets of Coruscant or something, but not Tatooine.
I have another note. Let me take my mask off real quick. I got to help these disenfranchised people.
Yep. Need to fix some
Seriously,
prices and
Don't
set
get
a.
it.
And then to top off that scene, the watermonger just pops up like he was hiding in the bushes. Wait, I thought you were going to kill these people. I thought you were going to do so. Why was he there? If he sent Boba Fett there to like kill these people, Why would he be there where he could get killed too?
And like, it felt like he came out of like his apartment,
Yeah,
and like the
they were
kids
just
he's
hanging-
so
they
mad at were just
so
hanging out in his
either
front
they
yard.
stole from him and then were just hanging out in front of his house, or he went to their gang where he knew he sent like an assassin to go blow them up, which is even a worse choice, right? Like,
Yep.
Can I ask a question? Have any of you watched the Clone Wars series? Because I haven't.
I haven't either.
I've
I've
watched,
watched-
of it.
2.5
All the way
seasons. I occasionally watch episodes with Elliot.
Does Book of Boba Fett feel more akin to the Clone Wars series rather than like the Mandalorian?
I mean,
The
you
Clone Wars
still have
series
some
is-
really
is okay.
awesome. I mean, how many seasons are there? Like 7 seasons? I'm pretty
I
sure
don't
there's
know.
7
They just
seasons.
came out with a new one, and then they did the Bad Batch.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's 7
I don't know if it
seasons
was
of
7
them.
or
So there's a lot of them that aren't the greatest, but there's some
Well,
really
in the
amazing
first episodes too, like the CG, their animation style is a little shoddy, but
Yeah.
it gets better.
Okay, maybe I need to try. I was trying. I looked at real quick who the producers were for the show, and it's Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. And
Dave
I know
Filoni.
Dave Filoni worked a lot with the Clone Wars series, and fans loved what he did. They
Some
trust
fans
him
do,
with
yeah.
it. I was wondering if the Boba Fett actor Morrison, if he was a producer just because he takes his helmet off so much. If he was like, "Hey guys, this is my chance,
won't ag-
maybe I could be."
No,
I feel like it was just a negotiation with the actor. I only want to be on the show if people get to see my face.
Yeah, maybe that was it, because he does take his helmet off a lot.
A lot.
yeah,
You never really
Um,
see Boba Fett without his helmet in any
Yeah.
of the other movies.
even a lot of the Star Wars fans are split on Dave Filoni. I think he started off with a lot of really good stuff, and over time has become more like cameo based. And so some people are kind of fed up with him, but for the most part, he does some pretty good stuff.
yeah. But
And I think a lot of people really disliked that not the Clone Wars, the Star Wars Rebels. A lot of people didn't like that one.
I disagree with you.
I've talked with people who did not like that one. I know there are people who did.
I don't like it for certain reasons, but it is also a really good story. Yeah, Dave Filoni is a really good. He learned under the tutelage of George Lucas, so he knows Star Wars,
And
like
he
the back of
brings
his
it up a
hand.
lot.
He does. he's a fountain of Star Wars knowledge. He's really knows his stuff.
Now, I meant
and he writes some good
says
stuff.
that a lot
Yeah.
to like just. He's like, I can do anything I want because I learned from George Lucas.
Yeah.
kind of.
But he also does some very strange things. He had a
Yes.
whole episodes of a bunch of pigs that like inflate themselves, these little puffer pigs, and then he had like transporting space whales that fly in space. So he does some weird stuff too.
Yeah, Treasure
But,
Treasure Planet did space whales first.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
Treasure Planet is amazing.
That is a great movie
Oh.
for sure.
It's a pretty Treasure Island itself is just it's a good
It's a
story.
good story, and then
Yeah.
to make it steampunk sci-fi,
Yes.
it was so great.
I love that aesthetic so much that I may be copying some of it in future Dungeons and Dragons sessions. But we'll see.
Uh,
This one,
anyways.
I was looking. This one was written by Jon Favreau, and it was directed again by Robert Rodriguez, who did the first episode 1.
Which
well, that's why
Robert that's why
Danny
Danny
Trejo's
Trejo's in it, yeah.
the fight scene was the worst part of the show. It was so
Well,
choppy.
No, the chase, the bike
The
chase.
first,
scene
okay,
was
the
great.
bike chase was
definitely the worst part.
okay.
You're talking about with Black Chrysanthemum, the
Yeah,
Wookiee?
it
Yeah,
was.
that was
it-
so bad.
I had to record some of it side by side. The lighting is awful. I couldn't see anything on my TV. It's easier to watch on the computer, but like I literally could not see what was going on my TV, and I have a pretty new TV, and the direction was just choppy and just awful. Okay, but
I will say electrified brass spiky knuckles.
yeah, that's a cool thing.
Cool idea.
Yeah, but it would have
then
knocked him out.
yeah.
He got punched in the face with electrified brass knuckles from a freaking Wookiee. And
Also,
he just gets
the
up.
Wookiee woke him up before killing him in his sleep.
Well, we had to know that the flashback was ending,
Well,
Yeah,
he had to,
so we had to see him
yeah,
waking
yeah,
up.
exactly. No, but yeah, this whole fight scene was awful. He was just
You know what would have
walking
worked?
around like Frankenstein's monster, slowly clomping towards him. It's like, we hear that Wookiees are so strong they can rip your arms out of your sockets. And he doesn't. He just tosses them around the room, and then tosses them around, and then he punches him with the brass knuckles, and then he squeezes him for like a solid 5 seconds. He would have been dead.
I hate the trope of let me pick you up and throw you instead of just killing you. That is the worst big monster fighting trope ever.
And also, I found it just kind of off-putting that after he hired cybernetic disenfranchised teen gangs,
Which where are their enhancements? The only one, the one guy had a thing on his eye.
oh,
And
there's
the other guy had
with
had
the
a
arm.
foot that she could use as a knife
Yeah,
when she was.
Well, the one girl had a full arm that was cybernetic, didn't she?
Okay.
I think the concept is cool, but they're just wearing their teenage street gang clothes, and there's no uniformity in this gang, and maybe that's the point. Is that supposed to be the thematic thing that Boba Fett's an outcast and he's bringing in all the outcasts? I don't know. But maybe get your guards to all wear the same thing to kind of show, hey, we're all in this together. Go with the sand people, dark robes thing you're going with, and have everyone else sign on that instead of having two pig boys in loincloths and then stuff out of Cyberpunk 2077.
A couple of youths. Well, speaking of sand people, the next part of the scene, because we've jumped ahead a little bit, is the flashback again, where he goes to the Pike Syndicate and says, "Hey, pay us protection. You got my message because we're the ones that stopped your train." And in that conversation, he says, "We outnumber the other gang." But do they? He hasn't unified the sand people.
What they talked
He
about,
knows a small group of sand people.
it was the biker gang that he beat up in episode 2, right? That was also demanding protection.
Well, I don't know if that was the same gang, but it was the gang that attacked the moisture farm. I don't know if those two are the same. Probably yes.
No, I think they're tying those together. I think
I assumed they were the same. I just didn't see their spray painted symbol at the bar where he attacked them. I didn't know if it was the same group.
Oh yeah,
I assumed it was.
Yeah.
So if it was just that group of 5 bikers, their tribe outnumbers.
No, but he clarifies
bikers.
He clarifies the statement, saying all of the sand people are one. I have all of them, but he doesn't. He hasn't unified the sand people yet.
Yeah, but they don't know that.
Well, now they're dead.
Yep.
Yeah, well, he does just talk about how the sand people have history, right? And that is their original land, basically, right? Is that what you're referring to, Alan?
Huh? Yeah, well, yeah, they're trying to, they're just showing the sand people as the natives trying to kick off, new people, settlers, but he had this conversation with the lady Sandman, sand person, sand woman, saying, "Hey, if we unify all of the other tribes, then we could easily throw these people off, right? But the problem is they're not unified." But then he goes to the guy and says that he's already done that work, and he hasn't. because when he goes back to the camp, the small camp is all dead, which wouldn't have happened if he'd unified all the Sand People. And this would have been so much more effective if he was directly responsible for their death. That's how you write character growth. But
Yep.
oh, and the second, I hated that. This just goes back to the show thinks that we're idiots when he shows back up at the camp, and then it shows the spray painted symbol. I was just like, then it immediately goes to a flashback of them spray painting the symbol on the moisture farm. Like,
You're right, it did.
like I got it. Like you did it. We
Yeah.
the show thinks we're idiots. Yeah,
Has
and then
Danny-
I already made my next point, which is they're telling two parallel stories, which would make sense if you see him learn from the past, but he's doing the same choices in both stories now. So
Yeah.
it just shows he has not developed or changed or learned anything.
Have we gotten to Danny Trejo yet? That was my
Yeah,
favorite.
because
part.
my
You
next
mentioned
note
that.
is let me wake you up before I kill you in your sleep, worst assassin ever, except for maybe the assassin in episode 1.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Wow, that okay, I gotta show this just the lighting. Let me pull this up, share my screen. Share screen. Look at this.
Maybe try turning it off and then turning it back on again.
Okay. This is The Mandalorian. I mean, this is the Book of Boba Fett. And this is from the original trilogy. Just look how much better the lighting is. There's no sound. Right? It's super choppy. It looks much better on PC too, but there's no contrast in this at all. In this scene, you can tell that it's dark, but you can see the whole person because of contrast. That's how you film scenes in the dark. This, you can't tell what's the background and what's the foreground. Okay? And then you sneak in later, like this part gets really bad.
All right. There's no
Like-
backlight.
There's no backlighting. There's no edge lighting. This. Where's the close-up of... Like, look at Leia here. This is this is at night. But there's like a fire and there's lights. You can see the characters' faces. This, you can't even tell. This is not how you light a scene. Look at the difference here. You can't see her face. You can see Leia's face. Like, which is baffling because they've created this amazing technology to film The Mandalorian that solves this specific problem of not having good lighting.
Right.
They have a room where you can digitally put your surroundings so you know exactly. The problem with green screen filming is you film on a green screen and then you film what you're going to put on the green screen, and the lighting doesn't match unless you plan it out perfectly beforehand and you know exactly what's going to be on the green screen. Then you can mimic the lighting in the studio. They've solved that problem with their 3D technology. They have a 3D room with the stuff projected onto the screens so that you don't have this problem. I don't know why. Like, this looks like when I would make movies as a kid and I would film in broad daylight and then just turn the color down to make it look like it was at night. Look at this. Look at the difference between these two shots. One is good and one is terrible. Am I wrong here?
No,
This isn't even complicated stuff. This is like filmmaking 101.
maybe 102.
It's filmmaking
Haven't
lighting.
taken the
How to light 101.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. So
Another thing too with Chrysanthemum, I thought he sounded a lot more like a lion than a
Yeah.
Wookiee. Like he
He's
was
growling.
growling, and
Yeah.
it's like that does not sound like a Wookiee. There's like
It
little
wasn't
teeny
the
hits of Wookiee.
I can't do the
Yeah.
Wookiee sound. There's a lot of people that can, but it's the guttural, like, you know. And then a lion, he was like,
Just like that. Yeah, he sounded like a lion. I was like, what is
I totally
this?
agree.
It was weird.
Horribly lit. Okay, let me make sure I don't miss any points this time. Oh, and then that weird scene with the banquet. Where she's like, "There's too much." The robot's bringing him food, and he's like, "Stop bringing me food." And then the girl is like, "You're the head of the family. You should enjoy the trappings." And I'm like, "What family?" He's
Well, they
it's
just
it's
adopted.
just you
The
two
crime
and
family.
4 kids.
They adopted 4 underprivileged teenage kids,
Well,
and now
especially
they're
though,
a
if you go
family.
back and watch
Boba's
the
the
Rise
dad.
of the Jedi, Return
Fennec's
of the
the
Jedi,
mom.
like Jabba's palace is filled with, it's just a menagerie of sin and bounty hunters, right? Like there's a band playing, right? And then if you watch the
Menagerie.
remastered version, there's a CGI band playing. Like, what is he the head of? I don't understand. There is no family.
Menagerie of Sin would be a good band name.
That's a great metal band name, right?
Yeah.
Menagerie of Sin.
We're Menagerie of Sid.
As soon as I said it, I was thinking the same thing. But yeah, that was such a weird scene. And also, like, why are they bringing him extra food that he didn't ask for? Like, or do the robots just think he wants a lot of food? Like,
I think they're
he doesn't-
pre-programmed to serve Jabba. I mean, that's how I
Jabba's
would
been
explain it.
dead for like 5 years now. I don't
We're
know.
just like, well, we'll just keep
Fortuna got
breeding.
fat somehow.
Yeah.
I just like
Yeah.
that seems like a problem that would have been fixed a long time ago. Like the first time the robot brought him food and said, "Hey, look, I'm sorry, I don't know if you know this, but we're the only 2 people here. I know that we say that it's a crime family often, but there's just 2 of us. We don't need this much food." But no, apparently the robot has been making him that much food every day, and he just hasn't brought it up.
There is a lot of food on that table too.
It's
like, I was
so much.
surprised.
It's
Yeah,
a menagerie of food.
Yeah, when it panned out and I could see it, I was like, that is a lot of food for 2 people.
Menagerie of Food is not a good
It's not a
band
good
name.
No. Back to the drawing board.
That
with
one's
that
not my best. Then the next scene is Danny Trejo.
Danny Trejo!
So it would have been so funny if that's all you see of him. But also, and then it's just like I just don't know what the show's trying to do anymore because they just dropped the Fets
Take
as
the
a villain.
Fets away.
And the way the Wookiee wobbles off is super funny. Okay, so now we get the Rancor, and the way that he's introduced was just like, oh no, the Rancor has the big sad. Like, what? He's depressed. What is?
I'll say, as an animal lover, and also Return of the Jedi being my favorite of the original trilogy as a kid.
Okay.
The scene of the Rancor tamer in Return of the Jedi,
when he goes
crying
and he's
over it, that has always stayed with me, and so I kind of
that made me sad as a kid too.
I like that they kind of addressed like, oh no, these creatures have a big bond and everything.
But the way that it was introduced.
But then again, it's not Boba Fett, who I would expect to be like, oh, who's a good boy? It's who is this character? Where'd he come from? Where is he going?
Yeah, I was thinking back to that scene with the caretaker crying. I was like, okay, yeah, so there's an emotional bond, but like the way that Danny Trejo delivers these lines of like, it sounds like Danny's been banging the Rancor.
Gross.
Oh no!
It sounded sensual to just the way it was delivered. Like you got to spend time with it. They can become very loving. The line was just like, it was so weird, and I thought they were just bred to fight. It's like, well, you'd be wrong. I don't know.
If they do show Boba Fett riding through Mos Espa on the back of
100%
the
he's gonna do
Rancor, that's freaking awesome. Like
Yeah.
that's a cool. I think that's fan service done well. Like
That could be
we
cool.
know Boba Fett, we know the monster of the Rancor, and to show him just like I am still holding out that something's gonna make him snap, and he's just gonna go start like vaporizing and blowtorching all the other crime families on the back of a Rancor. Like that would be so cool.
They also
But-
don't really look like animals for riding, though, do they? Like, where would you sit?
You
I was
just
thinking that-
when
Have
they
you-
get big enough, they just hold you in the palm of their hand. They just carry you. Like
Have you
King
ever
Kong
played-
style.
It's just a
Shadow of
BFG
Mordor?
situation. Huh?
Have you ever played Lord of the Rings: Shadow of Mordor?
I haven't played Shadow of War. I played Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah, there you go. You
No.
ride the Graugs.
I played the first one. It felt like that's a different franchise.
Yeah,
They
but
were
they have the
different
big
beasts.
Graugs. That's basically a Rancor.
I don't know. Okay.
I think we've seen the Rancor in the original trilogy, George Lucas times, and I'm pretty sure that was partially stop motion or puppetry, and so it was kind of on its hind legs. But now that we've got CGI, I think they can animate it.
Okay.
and it
Ride
it,
on his
it could
back
work.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like to me, I thought they were upright beasts, and that would be really hard to ride.
They are.
But I mean, go watch the scene again. Like the way that Trejo delivers that line, they can be very loving. It sounds like maybe you've spent like too much time alone with this Rancor, and then like the next part is Boba Fett like petting it, like, oh, that you like that, don't you? Like that's the spot. I was like, I don't want to be the one to tell him, but that's not the spot, guys.
Hey,
Like,
if Alan's mom is watching this right now, could you please tell him to stop being dirty?
it was
I did not
really
think
weird
that.
delivery. All right.
That's
I didn't
Okay.
think about that till you brought it up, but yeah.
no. I think Danny Trejo just delivers his lines like Danny Trejo. And-
Okay. All right. I mean, I'm just reading into it. Okay.
But Boba
And
Fett's
that's-
reaction
that's-
was a little weird.
Yeah.
So then we get back to the bikers in broad daylight, and oh boy.
So weird.
Hey, they locked the door.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. That's my point is the door does lock. We just don't lock it sometimes.
That is funny.
Oh.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It literally
that's
just
true.
highlighted a problem that they didn't want to solve in a previous episode. Like, it just made it worse because it can lock. Like,
The same thing happens later in this chase scene.
with
Let's go on.
In what way?
Yeah, what?
At the end of the bike scene, the chase scene, right? He hires
is it jetpack?
the bikers. Yeah, exactly. He has a jetpack. He comes
shows
out,
up with
I
his
thought the
jetpack.
jetpack was broken.
Because
Why
he
didn't he
didn't.
use the
Because he
jetpack?
didn't use it in episode 1 when he
No,
was
in
surrounded
episode
by
2.
assassins.
Exactly. He was surrounded in that circle of assassins.
Instead, he chose
Just
to
use a
fire a
jetpack.
rocket into melee, then just use his thing that makes him fly
I
to
thought they
go
were gonna.
behind the assassin.
I thought they were gonna go with, oh, the jetpack is broken. I need to fix it. But no, he just casually uses it, not to chase the
But to
Judge.
show up after the chase.
yeah, show up after it. It's like you could have
Yeah,
used that. Like,
Yeah, he like sicks him. He's like, "Go get him," and then he just shows up afterwards. He's like, "I got this."
he could have used that to fight the assassins in the previous episode, and he could have used it to hunt down the assassins in the
Yeah.
previous. You know, if he dove off the building, like
Yeah,
like
it
Nina
would have made
did,
sense if
he
Boba
had a
Fett was the
back
one to jump
jetpack.
off the building in episode
Yeah.
1, because then he wouldn't have died.
exactly.
He's got
It's
jet-
just so brainless. Like what? It's like,
And
okay, I get it. He's got a cool jetpack. Why hasn't he used it? I thought it was broken.
I don't know.
It's so dumb. But anyways,
It's
we,
expensive.
At least by the end of the episode, they remembered that he does have a jetpack.
yeah,
It's not like, why does he need to ride a Rancor too if he's got a jetpack?
it could have been fixed by a single line in the
Oh,
previous
hey,
episode
it got
saying,
broke.
"I really need to fix my jetpack" or something. I don't know. It was just so dumb. Anyways,
the other thing I hated was when they go to the mayor's office, and he's like, "Oh, the same guy with just terrible acting.
Yeah.
He's not. I'm sorry, the mayor isn't. He seems to be busy, you know." And then I always Fennec says, "Well, you better go get him because let me swoosh my my cape back and expose." Sorry. She threatens him with her gun, like swooping her cape back so you can see the gun in her holster, and the camera just zooms in really close on it. And I was just like, he knows you have guns. like
Yeah,
the
but the
way that
audience
was
didn't.
done was just so dumb and like so cliche. I was just like, oh, because she says you need to be careful what you say. You need to choose your next words carefully, and she swoops it back, and I was like, oh, he needs to be careful because she has a gun. It makes sense now because
No.
I didn't understand at all before why he would need to be careful. But
No. See,
he has a
it's
gun.
not because he has a gun. It's because they're gonna use the gun. See, so it's different.
Oh,
Yeah.
You mean the two bounty hunters he was talking to? He didn't realize that they were that they had a tendency to use guns. Again, this show does not understand subtlety, and it thinks that we're stupid.
Yep.
When I saw that happen, it reminded me of and Tanner, maybe you'll understand this, of just like a bad improviser establishing a scene.
oh yeah.
Like instead of just like talking like you would naturally, you have to like explain your hello,
Well,
friend who I have
hello.
known for 10 years.
Why?
Good friend, as we both know, we have been working on a secret project, which I will now explain to you in depth.
Oh, well, yes, the secret project, and that's about how you want to make Facebook, but for dogs.
It just felt so clunky to me.
Yeah.
But like, you can just it's just people don't act that way.
I'm wondering if like when they wrote this, was it during the pandemic and they couldn't get in the same room and like hash it out? I honestly, I'm suspecting that they just don't have the money to put into this as much as they did The Mandalorian. Because like I really enjoyed The Mandalorian. It wasn't perfect, but
Most
it's
of
good.
it.
But this one, it's just like, oh, like disappointing is the word.
Yeah.
Did I kind of cut out there? Did you guys already talk about how badly filmed the speeder bike chase scene was?
haven't gotten there yet.
Again,
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
what we're talking about now. So the chase scene happens, and they literally pull a glass pane gag.
Yep.
I chuckled at that.
Yeah, this chase scene
It's
was
like it's
so
a Monty
cliche.
Hall, like just like
Although I did appreciate
what?
that the painting they crashed through was apparently one of Ralph McQuarrie's original concept paintings for Jabba's palace. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, it's so cliche. They did every cliche fight or chase sequence thing in the book, going through a mirror or a painting in the middle of a thing, running into people who are trying to cross the street, jumping up a ramp and somehow landing on top of or ahead of the person you're
My
chasing.
favorite
running into
part.
a bag.
My
box
favorite
of
part. It was when they pulled up
fruit
next to
coming
him,
down.
and they say to each other, "Use your cybernetics." And she pulls out her leg and just goes whoosh, 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 into the side. She's not like aiming for the engine. She's just stabbing her leg into the side of a speeder. And what?
Yeah.
Hey, you use what you got, man. You use what you got. No, but I just felt like it was supposed to be this high speed chase, and like the way it was filmed,
It was comical.
it was just weird. It felt like slow. I was like, what is going on? These do not feel fast at all. Like, I understand that the speeder that he was in probably wasn't the quickest thing, right? And I'm like, okay, like I get that, but their Vespa
So slow.
should be faster, right? Like,
Yeah.
It felt like the major domo was driving a golf cart, and then like
yeah.
the street teens were on like the little mini bikes that you would buy for like a 10-year-old that
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
isn't
It's
fast
weird.
enough to go on any streets, but like the kids are still like riding it down to 7-Eleven to go buy snacks or something. And it felt like so like they were trying to make it feel fast, but it was so slow.
By cutting way too much, yeah.
It also felt
Yeah.
like he just took like 4 right turns and they were
Yes.
just chasing each other
Yeah.
around a block.
He definitely went in a
Like,
circle.
oh.
Also, like, why was there a chase scene at all? Why not just say, I can't let you see the mayor because he's not here? And then open the door and they would see that he wasn't there.
Yeah, that's true.
It's for the kids.
What
It's
would
because they had to show the Vespas. Because before that, you didn't even
would
know.
would running away have changed anything?
Well, he didn't know what
We wouldn't have
Boba Fett
we
would do to him.
yeah.
I don't
We
know.
wouldn't have got that sick chase scene on Vespa scooter razor bikes. It's for the
Yeah.
kids. Kids
That-
like that kind of stuff.
That's literally what this scene was for. It looked like it was something from Spy
Cowboys.
Kids or Power Rangers.
I've seen a lot of
terrible
people
Disney
saying
movie.
that. Yeah. And I think Robert Rodriguez got his mitts a little too much of this. Like I'm glad if Robert Rodriguez can bring Danny Trejo over, but that was a badly filmed. It did feel like something out of
Don't
Spy
bring
Kids.
Spy Kids 3D over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we like Machete. We don't like Spy Kids 3D. Game over.
Yeah.
So then the mayor's meeting with the Pikes, and those are going to be the villains of the whole show, I think.
Yeah.
And this episode alone was trying to imply that he has a history with the Pikes, except that in the flashback, it wasn't the Pikes that were responsible for the death of the Sand People. It was just the other gang.
We don't
The
know
Pikes
that yet.
were willing to work with him.
I think we're gonna get more flashbacks where Boba learns, oh, these motorbike dudes aren't asking payment from the Pikes like I
They're
thought.
the arm of the Pikes.
The Pikes are told them, go and make the Sand People an offer that they can't refuse, and so he's gonna be like, oh, it was the Pikes. So he's got this vendetta against them, and I think that's his whole motivation for being here. Is
But but this episode was set up with them epically stepping off of a train to imply that there was a history, except that the show has not established a history. Like the last scene of the show is supposed to be, oh man, those guys are back, right? Like it was supposed to have weight that just wasn't there.
I think that's something that's suffering some from is not having a clearly defined timeline, and I think a lot of
what he wants.
Yes, and I think we will learn what he wants in the last hour of the show, and that's a detriment to it. Whereas if
bad writing,
maybe
are you right?
If we didn't have this, I think I would have do all of the Sand People stuff first, and then I would even do a second season of the Now He's the Boss, but they're trying to tell these two stories and they're not doing a good job at it.
Imagine
I agree.
watching Lord of the Rings or reading Lord of the Rings, except that you start at Rivendell. You start with leaving Rivendell, and you don't know about the ring. And you don't know that Frodo has the ring. And so you just go on this big adventure, and you're running from Sauron and orcs and all this stuff. And the entire time you're just asking yourself, okay, but why does Frodo care about this? Why is he so dead set on ruling Tatooine? I mean, sorry, making it to Mount Doom. Why? What does he want? And then at the very end of the whole book / movie, he pulls out from under his shirt, this was my character motivation, and throws it in Mount Doom. Like, what? That's not how you write stories.
I think
Yep.
if I can speak to this, the closest thing that I can compare what's going on with Boba Fett to is the series Lost, which
Just
did this with
throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks.
no. Well, I mean, aside from that, because that definitely happened, and that's probably a conversation about J.J. Abrams we can have at another time. But what was effective about Lost is each episode centered on one of the many cast of characters,
Right.
and they would have flashbacks, but they were directly tied to what was going on. And
Yeah.
because
That's
Lost
the
was
purpose of a flashback, is to say,
Yeah.
this is a thing that happened in this person's past, and it's affecting the decisions that he's making in the now.
there were a couple of times where you didn't get the reveal that made everything that made sense until the last flashback or towards the end of the episode, and it worked because it was just in one self-contained episode. But I feel like they're trying to do that here, where they're trying to draw
But just saving
out
it till the end of the season.
yeah, and saving it to the end. So then we're like, oh, that's why Boba Fett was so different and why he wanted to rule with respect. But it doesn't work because it's the main story itself is not engaging without the motivation. Whereas a show like Lost, the main conflict was we are stuck on an island. How do we get off? Until they started throwing things at the wall and just seeing what would stick. But
Yeah.
it was, how do we survive this island? And then the flashbacks could have a bit of suspense in it because that led to, here's why
served
they...
for character growth.
Yeah. Whereas here, it honestly feels like to me, Sand People should have been season 1 and then Coming to Rule Mos Espa season 2.
Right.
I like that comment. Yeah.
Or, I mean, I don't mind doing it at the same time in a parallel, as long as it's structured into a way that makes sense. Like, like read a Brandon Sanderson book, read any of his books from the Stormlight Archive. Like, each book has a set of flashbacks that directly affect the character in that story. Like you can do it simultaneously. It just has to be structured purposefully.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, it just I think they have too much going on here now. You've got too many elements in play. You've got Tusken Raiders, you've got Pikes, you've got the
you don't have that anymore.
Jawas, you got the Hutts, you got the
Well, you don't have the hooks either.
yeah. It's just I don't know. It's just a lot, and it's even more messy than it was before. And I don't know how they're gonna. I don't know where they're going from here. It's just,
I don't know why I should care about the Pikes.
Right, exactly. Like we see the Pikes very minimally in
I didn't
in what we've seen so far. They're cool characters, but save them for season 2.
I didn't know why I should care about the Hutts because I didn't know people's motivations, but at least there was a sentimental attachment in already knowing Jabba the Hutt from the original trilogy. So like there was weight behind them if they were going to be the protagonist, and they could have revealed what their desires were. But now that was literally it was a cameo. We're done with that.
Yeah, they should have kept this as a localized struggle for Tatooine, and then once Boba Fett finally gets his footing, say, "Oh, the Hutts are out. What? They're out? Yeah, there's the Pike Syndicate that's coming in." Like,
Yeah,
what?
you
and then leave that as a stinger for season 2.
you finally got everything under control, and now the Hutts are going to come. You're like, oh man, you're probably wondering how I got here, right? Like,
Yeah. But I also had to laugh at the very end where they said, "Oh, the Pikes will be coming. They're coming, and they're gonna go to war, and and we'll be ready for them." Well, all 8 of you, all 8 of you are going to be ready to take on the Pikes. Like seriously, there's Boba Fett, there's Mina Wen, Fennec Shand, right? They've got the 4 biker guys, and they've got 2 Gamorrean
green
guards.
dudes.
I guess they got a Rancor and
Danny Trejo. That's
and
why
Danny
they're
Trejo.
ready.
Oh, they
You're
left
got-
Danny.
right.
Danny
They got
Trejo
Danny
is on
Trejo.
the
He can
team.
kill everyone. He's fine.
And, Black Chrysanthemum might come back because now he owes him a life debt for not killing him or something. I don't know.
This just
But
turns
still,
into like
that's like 10 people.
convoluted sequel to Machete Kills. But in Machete Kills in space.
Just we get an episode where the Pikes they kill everyone, including Boba Fett, and Danny Trejo's the only one left living, and so he goes on a murdering spree. And that was Robert Rodriguez's plan the whole time.
Yeah,
Well,
see,
I just
so
have to
technically-
ruin the show so that I can make a Machete sequel.
Technically, it'd be a prequel because this is a long
Time ago.
No,
right?
yeah.
This could be
Yeah, but time
Machete's,
travel's a thing.
origin story.
No, it's still a sequel because he could fall into a black hole and get sucked back in time.
Yeah.
It's happening before, but it takes place after.
Or the world between worlds.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna open that can of worms. But yeah,
Why
I laughed at that scene. We'll be ready for them. Like,
Will
you
you?
won't?
You kind of told the
Can I-
Pikes that you were ready, that you'd already united the Sand People, and you hadn't done that yet either.
That's true. He is
To-
in the business of overplaying his hand.
To touch on that, David, that's we'll be ready. His minion is calling him from a payphone. Like
Yeah.
they're not a big old crime syndicate like they think they are. They are.
He's the head of a crime family, Tanner.
Not a syndicate, a family.
It's a family.
And family.
If I know
It's-
anything,
a strong bond.
Did you see how much food was on that table? That's enough to feed a lot of people.
if I've learned anything from the Fast and the Furious, it's that you don't mess with family. If I've learned anything from the one season of Daredevil that I just binge watched for the second time, you have to be a syndicate to actually get anything done. Crime families don't work.
Well,
You got to
all I know
be kingpin and be ruthless.
is I watched Return of the Jedi with Elliot after this, and it's so much better. Like, you get into Jabba's palace, and it's filled with people, and so okay, Jabba is powerful, but there's nothing the show has done has demonstrated anything they're trying to tell us is real.
And we're comparing this with Luke Skywalker's plan in Return of the Jedi, which also didn't make a lot of sense.
No, his plan was horrible.
His plan was horrible, but at least it was well executed from a cinematic standpoint, right?
Yeah.
It's just, this is awful. It's so bad.
There was a flashback too in the little scenes before the episode starts to a refresher. These scenes will be important in this episode.
Yeah.
They showed the scene which the show is just insisting was really clever, with dropping the guy into the Rancor pit no, I'll tell you, it was the mayor all along. I wasn't scared of death 2 seconds ago, but now I totally am. They showed that scene because the Wookiee falls into the Rancor pit.
And now they have a Rancor.
Because we can't possibly remember that there is a Rancor pit from the original trilogy.
But you know what they
used
can do now?
effectively.
You know what they could do now is do that over again and threaten someone, say, we're going to drop you in the Rancor pit. And haha,
There's no Rancor.
There's no Rancor in there. I heard the stories, and then there is a Rancor.
Funny. What would have been funny is if they just left the Wookiee down there instead.
That's what I was hoping they would have done.
Rancor pit, and it's just a Wookiee, and he's like, "I'm not gonna kill you. I'm just gonna make sure you get 8 hours of sleep exactly, and then wake you up." But yes, of course they're going to bring it back. They're going to mirror that exact same scene, which they thought was so clever, and it's going to be probably with the exact same character is already dead. It'll be with the mayor. It'll be with the mayor at the end of the season. And they're going to drop him into the Rancor pit. There's no Rancor down here. Oh, there is a Rancor.
Or maybe not the mayor, but
I
his
don't think the
little
mayor.
helper dude.
Maybe.
I still think the mayor's doesn't matter. It's the major domo running things. And it's Fennec that hired the major domo.
Max Headroom.
Yeah, whatever his name is.
That's the actor who does Max Headroom.
Who's Max Head? Who is that?
It's weird, honestly. Not a big fan. well, that is all she wrote. That is Boba Fett, episode 3. Did we like it? No. Are we gonna still watch the show? Yes. So we can tell you.
I got nothing else to do Wednesday night, so.
Right. Who was it that who just finished Arcane? Tanner, was that you or David?
No,
I just finished Arcane.
David.
Yeah.
Should we talk about Arcane for a little bit?
We can talk
or
about
did you
Arcane
want to talk
for a little
about Daredevil Season 1? Because I
Both-
will talk about Daredevil.
Both good options.
Daredevil Season 1 is fantastic. Season 2 is okay until Elektra shows up, and then Season 3 is kind of a mess.
I didn't even finish Season 3.
But the
Maybe
stuff
watch
with
it.
Daredevil and Punisher, John Bernthal as Punisher is just so good. Season 1 of Punisher is great. I didn't even finish watching Season 2. I totally stopped watching Season 2 of the Punisher.
I couldn't do the Punisher. I don't handle extreme violence and gore very well.
It was very gory.
Episode 1 where he spoilers, he straight up murders some dudes with a sledgehammer. I was just like, okay, I'm done.
Real good. Dude, the finale of Season 1 of The Punisher, he takes the bad guy, grabs his head, and slams him into a mirror, and then drags it down. Like it was but that guy sucked. This was one of the worst guys ever, and it was the most satisfying thing ever, seeing him just cheese grade the bad guy's face. And I was like, ah!
Oh man.
So the reason why I'm watching
Go
Daredevil.
Boba Rangers.
Yeah, the Power Ranger. Okay.
That's a good way of saying it. Yeah.
But yeah, Daredevil Season 1, fantastic. You started
It's
watching
good.
it because you started watching Hawkeye.
Yeah, so and I said this before the stream, I didn't even watch I started watching Daredevil because I saw on YouTube Kingpin in the MCU and
They bring it
blah, blah, blah.
back.
And I just watched the scene and I was like, Daredevil was really good. I'm gonna go watch that. And so I started binging it again. And
you don't want to watch the end of Hawkeye. It completely ruins Kingpin.
and the thing is, with this, Boba Fett, he's gonna be a crime lord. It's just if you want a good criminal underbelly, people
Watch
trying
Daredevil
to take
Season
power. Watch Daredevil Season 1. It's good. And I'll even say Daredevil Season 3, yes, it does get messy.
Oh, it's
But
worth
the
watching.
So
It's worth
good.
watching.
And it's the Kingpin Daredevil dynamic. The actors are phenomenal, and the writing, you feel the hatred between the two of them. And Kingpin is such a smart villain and executes things so well.
Yes.
Oh,
and it's just
so good.
absolutely brutal and terrifying.
Yeah.
What a great villain. When it did come out, I haven't rewatched it. I've been planning on it because I watched the exact same experience. I watched Hawkeye and I was like, I think I need to go back and rewatch Daredevil. When it came out, though, I absolutely loved season 1, and I was kind of disappointed with the very last episode, with the finale of season 1, in that Kingpin had been so clever the whole season and was super menacing, and then the last episode just resorted to them in a fist fight, which like had to happen. Like they had to fight, but I felt like his plan at the end of the show had holes in it and wasn't
Yes.
quite as smart. So I was disappointed with the finale, but like in hindsight, I shudder to think that I ever complained about something that small when we're getting shows like this now. Like doesn't even hold a flame to the candle, you know, go watch Daredevil season 1. It's good.
On
Yeah.
on the rewatch, I will say it works thematically because
Yes, it does.
the whole series is
You had to have them fight.
yeah, you had to, but the whole there's two big character arcs with Daredevil and Kingpin. It's Matt trying to decide, do I go over the edge and like kill this guy? How much do I need to brute force this? And then the other people in his life being like, no, you need to like use the law. You have to do this differently.
Yeah,
and
but then the
then-
law doesn't work, and so he's like, but like,
So now I got to go
wanna
beat
believe
this
in the
guy up.
system. And I don't want to have to take things into my own
Yeah.
hand, but if I don't
The
do it, no one will.
The finale, though, is like an hour long, and a majority of it is them bringing him to justice and using the proper legal channels to do it. And then just the last 20 minutes
He
is
escapes anyway.
him escaping. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
like
good. It's really
it
good.
works thematically. And then also Kingpin's whole arc is he has been in control and in the shadows for so long, but then as he starts to let emotions in about Vanessa and his mom, then he starts not being as
Yes.
cool and composed.
Yeah.
And
I think I would
very-
like it a lot better on a second rewatch. On
it
first rewatch, on a second viewing.
yeah, it works. It definitely, like, even this time I was kind of like, oh, that final confrontation is kind of lackluster.
Yeah.
But for the whole story arc of the season, it works fantastically.
Just like the halfway through the season when he gets stuck in the building, just completely just like shifted my entire opinion of how TV shows could work. In that, like, I had just watched like the Arrow season 1, and I was like, and just like completely checked out of ever watching superhero TV shows. And I was just
It's
like,
DC though.
that Arrow season 1 doesn't make any sense. He's hunting down these huge corrupt corporate overlords, and he just to get to them, he plows through their lackeys and just murders tons of people. And then when he gets to the person in charge, he says, I'm gonna give you a second chance. And it happens like 10 times in season 1, and I was like, I'm never watching anything CW ever again. But then you watch Daredevil, and then it was just world altering. Like, I'd never thought that a TV show could be that good,
The episode where he's stuck in the
especially a
warehouse.
superhero TV show.
Yeah, that episode where he's in the warehouse is, I think, the best episode of the series.
And like it ends on wow.
It's good. Go watch it. That's
Super.
my recommendation for this week. Is Daredevil.
I need to go back and rewatch that. And
Daredevil
finish it
season
too.
1.
I never finished that whole series of TV shows.
Yeah, I never finished Punisher season 2, and I never watched Iron Fist season 2, and I could not for the life of me finish
Defenders.
Jessica Jones season 2. Well, I had to finish Defenders. horrible. But Jessica Jones season 2 turns into like
It was really bad.
it turns into like a girl drama of like her and her mom, and I genuinely
best
was
friend, yeah.
uninterested in learning how it ended.
Especially after how amazing the first season was.
Season 1,
It
but that
was
was one
so
of the
good.
best ones. That was almost better than Daredevil season 1,
Yeah,
but
it was
not
amazing.
quite. Luke Cage, first half of season 1,
Exactly.
fantastic. And then they get rid of the bad guy, and the new bad guy is not good. And the finale of Luke Cage season 1 is just it's so bad. They didn't do it. They didn't do a season 2 of Luke Cage, right?
I don't think they had time. Daredevil's the only Netflix. I did watch The Defenders too.
Oh
but
Defenders.
As a comic book fan, I could get through a lot of the very crazy comic book stuff that happens in that.
Yeah.
But Daredevil was the only series that caught my attention enough to stick with it through the whole thing.
Watch Jessica Jones season 1.
Yeah, if you haven't watched that, Jessica Jones season 1 is amazing.
And then stop there.
Yep.
I think you're good.
Yeah, if you can't handle
it, watch Punisher season 1.
Yeah.
Punisher's good.
I think I watched 2 episodes of that, and I was like, I can't.
Just imagine.
Do this.
Cheese grater face guy.
No.
The whole time.
I don't think that helps, Alan.
But like he deserves it.
Yeah,
deserves
but still. It makes
Like,
me
the-
think
the
about
guy-
my face.
The
getting
bad
cheese
guy
grater.
just gets progressively worse and worse. They do a really good job of making you hate him, so that when that moment happens, you're like, I'm okay with this.
I couldn't do it.
Arcane. I've watched it. Jared, you've watched it. And David, you just finished it.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of time. Got to duck
Okay.
out soon. But yeah, I liked it. I don't think it was perfect, but it was pretty damn amazing.
Yeah.
The animation was just so beautiful, and the attention to detail, just like with fine little things like dust or fog or splatters of blood and sweat. It was just so, and when they racked focus like they would for if they were really actually filming it. It was beautiful. It was so beautiful.
I think that as far as like animation goes, like this is the best thing that's happened to animation as a whole since Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
I would agree.
And I think that this animation is even better. I think
Parts of it were
if you
certainly.
not talking about the story at all, but like just the animation style, like if you compare like the best scenes from both of them, the end of Spider-Man, the rise when he jumps off and he's
going
he
down.
reverses it and he's
Yeah.
rising up, like absolutely beautiful, and like with the shading, the comic book shading and stuff, and how it's like out of focus on the edges, like brilliant animation. But if you compare like that shot to the best thing I've ever seen in it, which is episode 7 of Arcane, the ending scene of episode 7, which is the first episode of the last 3 episodes, because it came out in 3 chunks, like part 1, 2, and 3, and they're all 3 episodes each.
Oh, okay.
The fight between Echo and Jinx at the end of episode 7 is, I think, the greatest thing I've seen in animation ever. It was beautiful.
Yeah, that's generally my comment, is that it was just beautiful. Like all of the styling that they did, it was just breathtaking. Like every time I'd watch an episode, I just couldn't stop thinking about how beautiful the animation was, the art, the storytelling, like all of it was just amazing.
Yeah, and I also really loved when Jinx would do her little freak out thing, and it had those little chalk lines drawn in front of the traditional hand painted animation. It was just it's so striking, and it was really awesome. Really good visual. I don't know if I liked. There were a couple scenes that it went like fully to a chalk a chalk drawing that was animated. I don't know if I liked those as much.
That's very much like an anime trope, where like
Yeah.
if like in Avatar, you know, like when it'll sometimes like switch into like the cartoony, like, hey, I'm doing a silly thing right now with like Aang like waving his arms, like
Waving,
they do have a
lines
lot
and
in
stuff,
anime. It's it's like a gag, yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I don't like that that when they switched all the way to that. I
Styles.
like the meshing of those two styles, but I didn't like it when it was just the chalk drawings or whatever. But yeah, on a whole, it was just beautiful, very stunning.
The theme song, though, right? Like,
Yeah, Imagine Dragons. That was a perfect fit for this style.
well, it was even cooler because they'd already written a song for League of Legends for the World Championship, like 2014. The Warriors was written for League of Legends.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And so they brought him back for this, and it was just like, oh, that was like really like heartfelt. Like I had like an emotional moment where I was like, oh, they got Imagine Dragons to do the theme song. Like, I don't know why I'm emotional about this, but like it's a good song.
It just fits so well. Their style is just it's steampunk. It's fantasy steampunk right there. It's amazing.
Much.
Steampunk, you
Steampunk, you'll say?
I actually, I mean, we talked
why
about
haven't
Treasure
you watched
Planet.
Arcane yet, Mr.
Because I
Steampunk
started
guy?
watching Daredevil, and
But I told you to watch Arcane.
We're talking about it now. We're spoiling everything
going
for
on
you.
this week. I had a date and also depression, so like I didn't. I needed something I had seen already.
Rancor have the big sad.
Yes, he does. No, the date went great, but I ran out of my medication and hadn't gotten to the pharmacy until like today. So
that'll do it.
Yeah, so I was kind of like, oh, and I forgot about Arcane. Okay, but now I'm gonna go watch it, and I got the day off tomorrow. But I'm gonna put some steampunk stuff into my next D&D campaign, so that'll get me some inspiration, I hope.
We haven't even talked about the story at all, but like it's pretty good.
If
you want, I can hop off so you guys can talk about the story. You got me.
I don't even
get on out of here.
Like I don't even want to talk about the story at all. I just want to talk about how well done it was.
All right, I'll have to watch it, and then I can give you my opinion, and also the Wheel of Time finale because you keep telling me to do that.
Tanner,
why do we even have you on here?
I know.
I don't know.
I was
trying
to
funny.
Any of the aside watching.
I gotta hop off right now though. So if you guys do want to talk about it, you can. So I had some dairy with my dinner, so I'll let you put together what that means.
Wow.
But thanks for having me. Let me know. Send me a text message with what we're going to talk about next time. I'll see you later.
Are you saying your date was a cow?
No. Today I had dairy in my meal, and I'm lactose intolerant.
You said you just went on a date.
I don't think we need the details.
No, on like Thursdays when I'm Alan. Just text
Come on, that was a good joke.
It was fine. Tell me what you want me to watch next time via text message. Bye.
Arcane. I had another point.
I think you're frozen.
Yeah, your picture's David's picture's frozen, but it's okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. The other point I wanted to say, because Arcane is a League of Legends property, right? Which is a game that people play. I play a lot of League of Legends. And I just want to say that's not why I like this show. And I don't think it really has like any bearing. Like League of Legends is just scrimmage game. Scrimmage. I don't know how you actually say that word, right? It's just there really is no story to League of Legends. They have like stories that they've written
Backstories,
and backstories and lore on each of the characters, but it's not consistent. There are lots of characters that don't actually like fit the lore, and they all basically they're all brought to an arena and they fight, right? But they all have different stories. And you don't need to know any of it to watch the show. But I do. That being said, having played the game, there are like tiny nods to the game in the show that are done like really tastefully as well. That don't affect the story at all, but it's kind of just like, oh, that's a thing from that's in the game, right? And like Spider-Man, it's a really good use of nostalgia or
fan service,
right? Like the scene where where Vi is fighting Silco's right-hand woman. I can't remember what her character's name was.
Robot Arm Lady,
right?
Yeah.
The scene where they're fighting in the bar.
Yeah.
Like it showcases one of Vi's passive abilities in the game, where like if she does an attack, she'll get a shield. And so like there's a scene where like there's just tons of nods like that. Where like, oh, this is like no one actually would care, right? But like they really do respect the source material, even though there is no story to the source material. But there's tons of nods like that. Like that moment was probably the coolest one for me. I was like, oh, that's Vi's passive ability where she gets a little shield, and like I didn't think it was going to come up. It really wouldn't have made a difference if it hadn't come up. But I was like, oh, like they know the game. Like it's probably it's probably the best video game adaptation ever. Which is great because there's nothing to adapt. You can just tell your own thing and just take the characters from the story. But video game adaptations into movies and TV shows have just notoriously been the worst things ever.
Yeah, do you guys remember the Final Fantasy one that they came out with?
Which one?
The real life one.
Which one?
There's 3 of them, I think.
There were 3 of them? I only saw one.
There's Spirits Within, and then there's the sequel to 7, the one with Cloud. Final Fantasy.
No. So it didn't have Cloud in it. So it wasn't Final Fantasy 7 one, but it was literally just like a Final Fantasy movie that was like all CGI, but it was done like so well that they're like, this is amazing. It looks so realistic. I thought there was only one movie.
No,
I think there's 3.
There are 3. I haven't seen the 3rd one. I need to watch that. No, there's Final Fantasy. There's Final Fantasy Spirits Within, which was made in 2001. I loved that movie as a kid. It's not, that one is not based on any of the games. It just happens to be set in a world. I don't even think any of the games are set in that world. It's just made by the same people. I don't know. It might be. I really like Spirits Within. The animation does not hold up. It looks really bad now. And then they did Final Fantasy. It is Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, which is a follow-up to the story from that game. And then the one you're talking about, that was made in 2005. The one you're talking about is in 2016, which is Kingsglaive.
No. It was forever ago that I saw it. So it was probably the 2001 one, because the one that I saw didn't have anything to do with the actual like games, really. It was just a Final Fantasy movie.
Okay, yeah, you're thinking of the Spirits Within. I love that movie. Yeah, it's a really cool story.
Yeah, right. I loved it, and I thought it was amazing. And so that's what I'm thinking about, like as a video game that was adapted. I thought it was pretty well done, but
I don't think you could call that a video game adaptation though, because none of the video games are even based in that world.
Yeah, really,
it's just the same people who made a movie. And even Advent Children, which is a sequel to 7, like I don't think you can call that an adaptation. It's just a follow-up.
Okay, it's still based on a video game.
Yeah, it's based on a video game. It's good.
Yeah. But anyways,
I thought you were saying it was a bad thing.
No, sorry.
No, I love Spirits Within.
And I was confused for a little bit. I thought you were talking about Mortal Kombat, not
No.
Final Fantasy.
No, I don't think we need to go there. I don't think we need to go to Mortal Kombat.
Again, yeah.
I love the Mortal Kombat movie. I can't even tell you how many times I watched that as a kid. It is so fun. It's a blast to watch. Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. But Arcane was pretty good. So
your soul is mine.
Yeah.
So campy.
Get over here.
So campy. It's so
Yeah.
good though.
So Vi is a playable character in the game.
She's one of my favorites to play. Actually, she's the first champion I ever got a pentakill with.
Nice.
Nice, man.
Is Jinx in the game
Yes.
as well, or she made up
she's,
for
she's
the?
definitely
Yes,
in it.
Vi is a playable champion in League of Legends. Also, don't play League of Legends. I love the game. I will probably never stop playing it, but like, don't play it, man. It's not worth your time or investment.
And it's Trollmania, if we're honest.
And the community is just horrible, full of horrible people. Don't waste your time with playing the game. It has nothing to do with the show. But that being said, they are Riot, the company, is developing a bunch of other games using the same characters. They just released a couple years ago Hearthstone.
I've heard that. Yeah.
Magic the Gathering
yeah.
type game, which I'm told
They
people
made
like.
Hearthstone.
No, it's a Hearthstone. It's a card game. It's like
Right.
Hearthstone or Magic the
Okay.
Gathering. It's called something. But I'm just not into those kind of games, so I didn't play it. I mean I played it a couple times, but it wasn't great. But they're developing a couple other like standalone games, which I'm excited to play.
Interesting.
Vi is a character from the game. Jinx is a character from the game.
So it's
Echo is a character from the game. Heimerdinger is a character from the game, which is super funny because in the show, his character is like, "Oh, you never do violence," and like in the game, like he create like don't use technology for bad, and like that is the only thing his character does in the game. He makes turrets that shoot people and kill things for him. Like Heimerdinger is a playable character. Jace is a playable character.
Jace was the
guy with the hammer.
Yeah, with the hammer.
Yeah.
And Victor is a playable character. Did I miss
Really?
any? Yes.
Okay.
Silco is not a playable character. I missed one. I said Echo, right? I was going to say Echo.
Yeah. You said.
They hinted at the end Warwick, who's a playable character, but you kind of saw his like claw. And the one of the other characters is going to become Singed. The mad scientist, I'm almost 98% sure is going to be Singed. I think they even said it. The mad scientist.
That's a lot more characters than I thought. I thought it was just Vi and Jinx that were the characters from the game. So cool.
I also think that you saw Rise. I don't know if that was actually him. The guy that saves Jace in the snow, the mage who just shows up and teleports them away. I think that was Rise. Don't know though. Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah. But regardless, though, I mean that's why I loved it so much. To be honest, is that you didn't have to know any of these characters or play the game at all to really enjoy the show. The character building, the history, the world building. Like the world building was amazing.
It really didn't affect my viewing at all. Like I liked it, but I would have watched this had I not been playing this game for years.
Yeah. And I haven't really played the game. I mean, you tried to get me to play it a year ago, and it's not for me. It was fun, but it just kind of the same thing every time.
Yeah, for me, like I used to play chess a lot. I mean, I still play chess, but I used to play it like professionally for a high school, middle
Yeah.
school team, and
Nerd.
I was really good. And this and League of Legends filled that void, kind of like
see that.
of playing a competitive game. League of Legends to me felt like really fast chess. It itches that same, it scratches that same itch for me. It itches that same scratch.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah, I do not recommend the game.
Yeah. That being said, story wise,
I've tried to quit several times. So. Go on.
I thought the story was pretty good.
Pretty good.
But it was still, it wasn't perfect. There was still a lot of messiness there.
But it was entertaining.
But it was entertaining as hell.
Yeah, some of the choices, like I'm not really sure like why they're doing this, but there was never really a moment where I was like, oh, this choice is stupid. Like I can't even understand why they would make this narrative decision. Like they weren't always like, oh, this is the most brilliant thing ever, but it never pulled me out.
Yeah, but most of the issues I have is with like they're introducing that mad scientist character with that giant axolotl in the end. And there's no like, who is he? He's just this random guy that shows up.
No. He was the guy working for Silco the whole time.
Is that where the drug was made that they're using?
The green stuff?
No, the purple drug.
Purple stuff, right? What do you mean? Is that where? He's the mad scientist is the one that made the purple drug with Silco.
Okay, using that giant axolotl thing.
I don't know if he used that to make it.
Yeah,
it was a little unclear.
That was just little things like that was a little unclear, But mm-hmm. I'm assuming they're going to expand on that in future things. But I agree. None of the decisions they made in the show didn't really make sense, with the exception of one, and that was when Poundy Fist dude, their surrogate father, died. Right.
Right.
I forget his name. And
Episode 3.
Yeah, Powder. Sets off the explosive and kills all her friends. That was amazing. It was the emotional scene. She's like, "Hey, I helped out." You just killed everybody. But
that was brilliant, by the way. But go on.
Yes, it was. I liked that up until the point where she's crying, and Silco comes up, and she just goes in and just grabs him with this big bear hug. I'm like, that doesn't.
She's a kid.
Yeah, she's a kid, but she's angry and upset because her sister, she just left. She's crying. She should have been like going out, like punching at him.
She did. She punched him.
No, she just went and hugged him. She went.
There was a scene where she was hitting him.
She went straight for the hug. That's the only decision I was like, that doesn't make sense. She should have gone in punching, and he was just kind of like, whoa, and then he's like, there.
No, I liked it. It was beautiful because like. Yeah, she was trying to help, and oh man, what a great way to like subvert, expectations in the best way possible. And they're like, Jinx is coming, and she's gonna save the day, right? Because like he saw they were gonna try and do it alone, and you're like, oh, it's not gonna work, and then Jinx is gonna show up at the last minute with her inventions and help out, and it's the opposite. Yeah, their plan was working. They were going to escape.
The hole in the wall. They were going to get out.
And she sets off a bomb, and it kills both of their friends. Practically kills their dad. And it's so.
Was that their dad? Beautiful. Or was that their surrogate father?
It's their adopted father, right? I said practically. Their dad's already dead.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, like that moment, that was the moment where I was like, oh, this show is going to do things that I didn't think it had the balls to do. Like it impaled a kid. Like, oh, it was, and then like there were consequences. She's like you have been a curse. Like everything you've done has gone wrong, and she just leaves her and is like, and like. I don't know, if I was kind of a mentally deranged youth and my sister said that to me, I wouldn't really care who I was hugging. If the first person to say something nice to me, I'd just be like, okay, are you my daddy now?
But he didn't come to say something nice.
He did.
He just happened to be there. No, he didn't say anything nice till she hugged him. I just thought that was the one thing. She embraced him way too quickly.
But he wasn't scared of her, and she could see it in his eyes.
That's true, but she wasn't.
Everyone else was scared of her.
Everything else about that scene, I loved it. It was so well done, so emotional, so impactful. I just didn't buy that she immediately went to embrace this guy that a moment ago she was just trying to bomb the crap out of.
I'm pretty sure I remember some punching, but...
Well, see, but the other thing, too, is
like...
okay, no, I wanted there to be punching. I wanted her to be crying and punching his chest and then just giving in and turning into a hug. That's what I wanted, and they didn't do that.
That's what it felt like.
That's the only decision in the entire show that I did not like.
I could see that. The other thing too with that is that she never actually went inside the building though, so she didn't know who this guy was, right? So she didn't know that he was bad or anything like that.
Yeah, but they know that they're fighting.
Yeah,
I think she knew who he was.
I think she knew who he was.
I don't know. It never really said that she knew or inferred that she knew.
Man.
Well, then if she doesn't know who he was, that it makes it even more strange that she just hugged a complete stranger.
Okay. I think there's definitely points to both sides, because I think they were trying to show this emotional complexity to her at the moment, right, where she just needed someone. She just needed someone to hug her, someone to embrace her, and to care for her. But at the same time, I can see the decision making as well, and it may not line up completely. But I know when I watch
also when you're that young though,
your
decisions don't always make the most sense either.
Yeah,
true. I mean, I get it. She's emotional. She's an emotional wreck, but I just thought that came a little bit too easily. All I'm asking for is an extra, 2 seconds of crying and beating fists and whatever. But otherwise, it was great.
Can we talk about the ending of episode 7 though?
Okay, so you're gonna have to remind me. That was
the fight scene between Jinx and Echo. They show up at the bridge. You've got Vi and Caitlyn's also a playable character. That's who I forgot. You have Vi and Caitlyn who've been doing their snooping, and they're bringing evidence back to the Capitol so they can go and arrest Silco. Right? They've gone through that a bunch of bad crap, and they're finally making their way back to the bridge. And Jinx shows up to stop them, and Echo is just like, "Yo, guys, I got this." Okay, and they go on, and okay. So I mean, if you haven't played the games, Echo's character, like his ultimate ability, like his strongest ability is he can push a button and like rewind time by like 10 seconds.
Ooh.
And he's basically, Prince of Persia, but he can do it like once. That scene, like he doesn't, but it's like a device that he's made, and that scene doesn't show him reversing time. It shows him thinking out the plan, like basically like
Sherlock Holmes sort of thing.
Specifically the 2 movie Sherlock Holmes done by the guy who makes gangster movies. Yeah, with Robert Downey Jr., directed by the guy who makes gangster movies, and Aladdin. That was a misstep. But okay, that scene was absolutely brilliant. Like of him dropping his stopwatch, and because later he will invent a stopwatch that lets him reverse time in real life, but it shows that he has this an ability to like in the moment analyze stuff, and the fact that it's someone that he knows. So he knows how the fight is going to play out because he knows Jinx to her core. And so he sees that he drops his little stopwatch, has it wave back and forth, and just analyzes the fight in a second and knows how it will end. And then because it shows them doing it as kids and keeps cutting between that and like I don't even like the style of music that's playing right there, but it fits the scene perfectly. Like that's just not my jam. That's not what I'd listen to. I don't have anything against it. It's just not what I prefer, right? And then it's just super cut between just blending realities, right? Of like their past selves and their current selves, of ticking back and forth the whole time with his stopwatch, and then he sees himself die, how it plays out, and then throws it on the ground and like, now we're gonna do it for real, yo. I'm like, oh my gosh,
that was a good scene. I did
that
like it.
Scene is the best thing I have seen. It not even in animation, in film, in like 10 years. Incredible. Like that is like my mind hasn't been like blown by sheer awesomeness since like Inception.
Yeah, that was really, really well done.
So and that's the sort of storytelling that I really admired with the sequence, is that it gives
and
you
it wasn't just a cool thing, it was an emotional beat.
Exactly. Yeah. It's all about they're using music, they're using like their history and their emotions.
And it was brilliant because like this whole thing, you know, I see how I'm not going to make the same mistake that I made when I was a kid and let her beat up on me. And he wins the fight, and then she's got bombs because she's changed too, and is willing to like kill herself just to win. And you're like, oh dang, right? Like it's so good.
Yeah,
I literally stopped watching the show and rewatched that scene about 8 times. I was like, I don't even care what happens next. I watched that over and over again just to milk whatever was left of that scene because it's brilliant.
Although she was right next to an explosive and she walks away. So both of them.
Yeah, but it was like a magic butterfly explosion.
Yeah.
It's fantasy, baby.
Yeah, there's a lot of fantasy.
Obviously that's stupid, but it doesn't matter because the rest is done well. Like here's the thing with like plot holes like that. You can't get rid of all plot holes.
Yeah.
It's impossible. Do you know why? Because you're writing a thing that's not real. Okay? If you wanted a story with no plot holes, that would just be called real life. You'd be reading a biography, and it would read like a history book, and it would be boring. Okay? We're writing in a fantasy world made of make-believe pretend. And it's not going to be perfect. It never will. To expect it to be perfect is stupid. The reason that plot holes become so glaringly visible is when the overall quality is so bad that that's all you can focus on.
Exactly.
When you have a show like this, Arcane, it's so good, it doesn't matter what stupid thing happens. Even if it was something glaring, I would probably be willing to forgive it and maybe not even notice it because you're already floating on awesome, right? Like if a dead fish floats by, but you're looking at a cool tidal wave the whole time, you're like, yeah, there was a dead fish. Who cares? I'm looking at this cool tidal wave, right? But if you're swimming in the kiddie pool where things are boring and dumb and a dead fish floats by you, you're going to be like, hey, look, there's a dead fish. Can I get out of this pool, please? That's not the greatest analogy I've ever come up with.
I think it's a pretty solid
I
analogy.
feel like it illustrates my point.
Man.
Like,
Yeah.
I already wasn't having a fun time in this kiddie pool to begin with, but now there's a dead fish. Like, but if I'm looking at a tidal wave, obviously there's going to be dead fish. And I don't care about them because there's a tsunami.
Yeah. It's not a bad analogy. I like it.
Yeah,
Not that if I was in a tsunami, I would be having a good time, but it would be more exciting than a kiddie pool.
See, there's the plot hole. There's the plot hole.
There's the plot hole in my analogy.
Yep.
It wasn't as glaring until I pointed it out.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Because it was already awesome.
It was so awesome. You didn't even notice that I had a plot hole in my explanation of plot holes, did you? Because it was awesome, which only further illustrates my point.
Yep.
Go watch Arcane. It's freaking good.
Very good.
So
Sorry, Dave.
make
Can I just say
Netflix-
that just reminded me of the Yepper? Yep. From Avatar, right? I think it's Avatar. Oh no, wait, it's not Avatar. It's have you guys ever seen the Age of Voltron?
Age of Voltron? Are you saying Age of Ultron?
No,
or are you saying
hold on.
Voltron?
It's Voltron. Yeah, it's not Age of Voltron.
Which one?
Voltron. Have you guys ever seen Voltron?
Which one? Are you
the
talking
one on
about
Netflix.
the original Voltron, or are you talking about the Netflix remake?
The one on Netflix? The one on Netflix.
I've seen both, so the answer is yes.
Then why'd you ask the question?
Because I wanted to point out that I'm cooler than him.
Oh, okay, well, thanks.
That's I don't know if you know this, but my gamer tag is literally Voltron 505. I've seen Voltron.
You know that finally makes sense. I can't believe I didn't even make connect the dots. But Dave, have you seen it then, Dave?
No, I have not.
Oh, okay. Well, you need to see that show as well because it's hilarious. But
I don't think I've finished the Netflix version. I'm on like the last season,
but basically, there's a creature. They're like breaking some guy out of prison, and they're like they're trying to get this mad scientist out or something like that, and they capture this guy, this creature, and they think it's him, and so they like ask him. They're like, "Hey, are you this guy?" And he's like, "Yep."
It's just like a frog that always says it. It's like him ribbiting. It's like, yep.
But like that's all he says. So they
just assume that he's been turned into a frog.
Yeah. So every question they ask him, they're like, "Yep," and so they just assume that it's the right guy or whatnot. And then they get back to the ship and they're like, "Who's this guy?" And you're like, "This is the doctor." And then they finally point out they're like, "No, this is a yupper." Like all he says is yup. Yup. Sorry, I interrupted the whole thing.
We go on so many side.
The remake's not
this show.
The remakes. Voltron, the Netflix remake is not bad. I think the first like 2 seasons are pretty good. After they kind of get rid of the main bad guy, I think it struggles a bit to find its purpose. I haven't finished like the last season. It's okay after that, but I would definitely watch at least until like the main arc of defeating the big bad guy, which I think is 2 seasons, right? I think it's like 1 and 2, and then
I think so. Yeah,
have they jumped the giant mechanical shark yet?
Yes.
Okay.
I did. I think they jumped the shark a little bit after his death, and for a while it took a while to figure out what the show was about after that.
I could concur, but I think they still did a good job.
Still not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah. Cool beans.
So yeah, that's another one to recommend for all you viewers out there.
See, this is the problem with coming on this podcast. We talk about a show and then I add 5 more shows to my watch list. This is not sustainable.
Yeah, probably not.
Well, we're gonna have a new one soon because The Legend of Vox Machina. I'm excited for it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it looks interesting.
Is it there?
But I got to go.
Hey, it's been a blast. This is a good place to end it on Voltron.
Yeah,
I guess so.
Boba.
I guess so.
January
Arcane, though. Arcane's
28th.
amazing. January 28th is when it comes out.
January 28th. Yes. So not
wow.
the next show, but in 2 shows we'll talk about The Legend of Vox Machina and also Boba Fett episode 5. You said there's 6 episodes or 7? I don't remember.
I don't remember. I've got it up here on Wikipedia.
But like, I don't know what the show's about anymore. And
Yeah.
I did not have a good time. Stephanie came down while I was watching Boba Fett episode 3 because I was watching it late at night because I have kids and do most of my things for myself late at night when I have free time. And like, she was sick and came down and was watching it, and she was just like, "What is going on?" And you would think that me having seen the show could have explained to her what was going on, but it's not that she was missing context. It's that the show made no sense, and I couldn't explain to her what was going on.
It's funny.
Yeah. Yep. It's pretty bad. I don't know where we're going. So.
Thanks for joining us. Goodbye, David and Jared, and we'll see you next week where we talk about Boba Fett, where we talk about Boba Fett episode 4.
Boba chai latte.
Boba latte. And none of you watched Chef, did you?
No, I didn't. Sorry.
So good. We'll see you next week on Best Gen. Bye. Oops, I didn't hit the button in time. Bye.